Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Brick Bus. Today, we're going to cover 3 different topics, and our first topic would be my question to you actually would be there are a lot of seasoned investors now in the market who have been asking me for advice, and they want to know where they can invest their they're in the retirement stage basically, and they want to invest in real estate. So what would you recommend them?
Thank you, Angela. The first thing I would recommend them is to stop asking you these questions and come to me directly. Why are they asking you?
Because they want to know.
Okay. They want to know. Good. Yeah. It's very simple. People who have been investing in real estate, and especially in Dubai, they have a portfolio that is already developed.
Correct.
And they're maintaining it. And it basically combines buying and selling and leasing as well.
Yeah.
Right now, if they are reaching a stage where they would like to retire, so that means they would like to have kitchen money.
Correct.
We're talking about
kitchen money. Yeah.
Having kitchen money with yourself and then augmenting that kitchen money over a period of time. So it's very simple. You have 2 streams.
Okay.
You have a rental income and you have a capital gain.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So the rental income has to be consistent, has to be present, and has to be divided into chunks.
Okay.
So, according to each investor, we have a chart that we make.
Correct.
So there is no cookie cutter answer for everybody.
It depends on how much they want to invest.
Every investor is a different person. Their investment portfolio is different.
Correct.
Their aspirations are different. Their need for that kitchen money, their time, duration, and whether it's going to be a monthly sort of setup for them or quarterly or yearly or whatever their requirements are. If they need to travel a couple of times a year, what times they travel. So based on each individual's personal needs, that can be tailor-made, and it has to be tailor-made. Please keep in mind that these portfolios are tailor-made for individuals.
Correct.
For individual investors as well.
Okay.
So now we're going to talk about generally how this works and not going into the specifics as per one person. So generally how it works is that you have a rental yield coming in. That should be augmented with capital gain. So I would suggest that you start small, buy a couple of units.
Okay.
You already have those units. If not, then you have to buy a couple of units, have them leased out, have the lease money come in. And since now you have a couple of units, you need to figure out a plan to rotate them.
Okay.
You buy, you sell, you buy, you sell. Now, this buying and selling is easier, more convenient for small to mid-size units.
Correct.
The perfect blend was at one time 1 bedroom, where a studio is at 1 stream, and the maximum peaks were at 2 bedrooms.
It's easier to rent them also.
It's easier to rent them, but at times now I think a major role is played by 3-bedroom townhouses as well.
Yes.
So you need to develop a portfolio. Based on your portfolio, you need to say, okay, I'm going to have a steady stream of income.
Okay.
You can have a combination of a few off-plan projects, which at the time when they're delivered would give you that capital gain.
Correct.
And then you need to stagger the payments that are coming in. By staggering, I means that, okay, first quarter, I'm going to have this rental yield, and within 4 months, I'm going to get a capital gain from this unit.
Okay.
Reinvest that money, park a bit of it for your holiday plans, for your travel plans, whatever plans you have.
Okay.
For your family, and then keep on rotating that. So in this manner, this is in a nutshell. It is very deep. It is very precise. it is very elaborate as well.
Correct.
It can't be cookie cutter
Customized for one
answer.
person.
It cannot be a cookie cutter answer for everyone. It has to be staggered. And in this manner, you can develop your portfolio. The most critical and important part is the real estate consultant. They are consulting on this.
Correct.
And the person who's developing this portfolio for them and the person who's managing.
Yes.
So if the person completely understands, sits with them, asks them what do they require, take into account all their needs, all their wants, all their plans, and then devise a plan which is best suited for them.
Correct.
So if you take into account all those things, then you can make a plan which is a win-win situation for all parties. You'll have to consider if there is a calamity, if there is a force majeure, you have to keep different baskets. Like
Correct.
this on that other day, you were telling me, Asim, don't keep all your eggs in one basket,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So it's not only residential, it's not only commercial, it's not only hotel apartments. We have to devise a plan which has a bit of everything,
Yes.
and then see how we can devise a steady stream of income. It can be done. It has been done for a lot of people
Correct.
that have come to us.
Yes.
You have seen us
Yes.
make that plan, and you have been part of that
Yes.
journey as well.
Yes.
I hope that clarifies your question.
Yes, that does. So if you guys need any help or any information regarding that, you can reach out to us. The second question would be, there are a lot of foreign investors who are looking to invest in Dubai. What would be their risks while investing in Dubai? What they should be aware of before investing in Dubai?
Angela, somebody's not been to Dubai? Are you talking about somebody who has been occasionally?
Who doesn't know about the
occasionally-
real estate market, and a lot of people say they have been scammed, or they have been put into a situation that they didn't know about the market and they just put their investment in, and now they're stuck with that investment. So what would you recommend them to do?
Okay. Number one, don't go on the word of mouth
Okay.
of one individual. My uncle told me because his cousin, brothers, sisters, husband did this,
Correct.
and he advised me on this, and I followed his advice, and now both of us are not on talking terms, and both of us are stuck in an
With the
investment.
property, yes.
You need to have, like all places and all avenues of your life, you need to go to a proper experienced professional
Correct.
who would guide you and who would help you in this. The second thing is, although people think, oh, I'm getting a very good deal by an unknown developer,
Correct.
and it's a fantastic deal, it's a magnificent deal, and I'm going to go for it. I would still advise your trusted developers, the grade A developers, as the first investment,
Yes.
try and work with them. You can go to the investor directly, or you can come to a consultant. A consultant would have a plethora of all those developers with him.
Correct.
That investor can be guided by a professional on which developer to choose for which specific project, which specific unit, and then go from there. So I would advise that go with a professional, try and select a project which is by a grade A principal developer.
Because it's very important to know about, the terms and conditions, what the developer is giving. Sometimes people don't read because the SPAs are so long. We, being in real estate, have ideas about what would they put in.
I think we
can
have a
guide.
very, very clear concept of what is written, because
Exactly.
we
So we
at
can
least
guide
once
them.
have gone into it.
Also, the payment plans, some people just, okay, the developers tell them very briefly, and they're like, okay, we'll be able to do it, but they don't go into.
People tell me, oh, this is a 1% payment plan. I'm going to go for it.
Correct.
Do they realize that they have to give 20% upfront?
They don't.
Do they
check.
realize
Sometimes
that there is a 4% land department registration fee
Correct.
that has to be paid with that 20%? So that 1% starts after you have made the initial payment of 24%. So you cannot be overly excited.
Yes.
I mean, there's always an element of excitement when you're investing in real estate, and that's sort of a milestone achievement for a lot of people.
Correct.
Whether they are first-time buyers or they're seasoned buyers, buying an new property is always an exhilarating experience.
Correct.
You and I both know this.
Yes.
However, it's up to you and me to be a part of that excitement, but have the ground rules established from day one.
Correct.
Either you're going to call the shots, I'm going to call the shots, or the investor is going to call the shots. If you go on Wall Street and you want to invest in stocks, so you will go to a seasoned professional.
Correct.
And that person is going to call the shots.
Correct.
Or you're going to tell them, no, I want to invest in such and such and such company, and then I will hold you accountable for whatever investments I make. It doesn't work that way. If I call the shots, then I will be held responsible for guiding you,
Yes.
for maximizing the returns of your investment, and to make sure that you get the best value for your money or the best bang for your buck.
So my third question would be that with the rental increase nowadays,
Is there any?
yes, everywhere.
Everywhere there's a rental
Yes,
increase.
Yes. So the landlords just want to evict their tenants so that they get a higher rental value, or more than what they're getting. Can you explain to us the rules and regulations in that scenario? Can they just evict them immediately? What would be the process for them?
Every landlord, first of all, let me clarify, every landlord is not like that. And a lot of landlords are being misguided by people. Oh, how much rent are you getting? Oh, you're getting a rent at that. Oh, I'm getting a rent of X amount. Why are you getting it Y amount?
Correct.
Where we forget one critical factor. The second individual that's saying, oh, now I'm getting a Y amount, had their apartment, townhouse, villa, whatever property vacant for a period of 4 months.
Yes.
Because they
that's
were
true.
not budging on, for example,
Correct.
5,000 dirhams.
Yes.
They were not budging on 5,000 dirhams, which is a monthly rent, and they kept that apartment, for
Vacant.
example, vacant for 4 months.
Correct.
So they lost 20,000 dirhams. So for landlords like this, whenever I meet them and I say, okay, listen, 2020 August, I think, is when COVID was completely finished from this part of the world, right?
Correct.
Give or take a few months. I think July, August.
Yes.
Okay. Before that, a lot of rentals went down.
Correct. Because of
Now,
COVID.
the rentals are in the process of being increased because the economy has bounced back. Dubai has bounced back. Dubai was probably one of the few, I would say definitely one of the few areas that bounced back quickly
Yes.
with double the resolve and double the grit.
That's correct.
So, because of that, the rentals have started increasing and the market has stabilized.
Yes.
And why not? If you are an investor and you have invested whatever you bought at the peak time, or you bought at a time when the prices were at a peak, so you would like to have some sort of returns,
Correct.
which are sensible returns. I'm talking about. So you have a right to have those returns, but there's a way of going about it.
Correct.
So there are two laws. Everybody in Dubai knows about those laws. One is the law number 26 of 2007, and the second one is the law number 33 of 2008, which is also known as the tenancy law.
Okay.
So, thumb rule: if you want to evict your tenant, I would say talk to the tenant.
Yes, that's the first thing. Yeah.
talk to that person. He or she also lives in Dubai. They know that there is a change coming. If you see that that person has actually invested time and energy in converting that property into their home. You see, whether there's an apartment or a villa or a townhouse, there are people, when you walk into that home, you see, even though they have leased that property, they have actually converted that place into a home.
Yes.
It has that warmth. So talk to your tenant. If the tenant loves that place, come to a mutually agreeable solution where the rents can be managed accordingly. However, if push comes to shove and you say, no, we are just going to have the tenant out and I want a new tenant in for whatever the reasons, there are two cases, the two broad categories that you need to be cognizant about. The first is before your lease ends, if you want to evict a tenant. And the second category is at the time of culmination of the lease, if you want to evict the tenant. So let's talk about the first part, which you will tell me what challenges have you faced in that.
I have faced a lot of challenges because whenever firstly you give a 3 months notice to the tenants for the renewal of the contract.
That's at the time when the
renewal.
So we're talking about, for example, if the tenant has not paid the rent for 30 days and you have informed the tenant that he's late on it, after a 30 days notice, you can evict the tenant.
Correct.
Right? Now,
it has to be the legal notice, not the
written notice. It has to be a legal notice, obviously.
Yes.
Thank you. The second point is if they are subletting it without permission.
Correct.
You find that out. You have proof of that. You again give a legal notice.
Correct.
So the point of legal notice is very valid. It has to go through the legal channel.
Yes.
The third is if they're conducting any illegal activities. Do you know any such people?
Not as yet.
But just that you have to think about it gives me doesn't give me a lot of confidence.
Because property management would be terrible then.
Now, there's one very important factor for commercial properties. If the commercial property has been left vacant for a consecutive period of 30 days in one calendar year or 90 days overall in one calendar year, then the landlord has the right to reach out to the tenant and say, what's going on? The property has been vacant for 30 days consecutively or 90 days overall in a calendar year. What's happening? Right? If you see as a landlord that the tenant has gone ahead and damaged the property, you have the right. And the last one is if you're using the property wrongly. For example, if it's a residential, you're carrying out commercial activities over there.
Using it as storage.
Using it storage. People are living there. People are also working there.
Correct. There are a lot of incidents.
There are a lot of incidences where people take a unit that, okay, my family is going to live there, and then there is office within that.
Correct.
Or people lease an office, and in the night people are staying there and living there as well. So that's not allowed. If you are aware of such things, and people who do property management should keep an eye out for these things.
Correct.
And if they find something like that, if people are not following the community rules, people are living in Nakhil community, MR community, all communities have their guidelines.
Yes.
When a tenant comes, the developer issues them a set of guidelines.
Correct.
That they have to abide by.
That's true.
If your tenant is not abiding by those guidelines, then you can give them a fair warning. And if they still continue not to obey those laws and regulations, then you have a right to ask them to leave. Or if there is a government plan for that particular property or particular area, then again you can ask them to leave. Now, these were the instances where you could give them, you are asking the tenant to vacate before the end of the contract.
Okay.
The second part is, what if we come to a point where the tenant is asked to leave at the time of renewal? So, all landlords and all real estate professionals, if they're
Property
if property managers, how much notice you have to give them?
3 months notice.
3 months. So even if you have to, this is for Article 25, Para 2.
Okay.
It clearly specifies what conditions are there if you want the tenant to leave at the time of renewal.
Okay.
3 instances,
Okay.
not more. The first is if the property is being changed, it's being demolished, it's being refurbished, you can ask your tenant to leave. The major repairs,
Okay.
you can ask the tenant to leave for personal use. So, for example, you or your next of kin as a landlord want to utilize that property
Okay.
for your own use. You can ask the tenant, and you have to establish grounds that you do not have a suitable alternate. And this is
Okay.
the only thing that you have. And by some freak of nature, you have to make use of that property as your own living quarters. So you can go
Okay.
and ask them that again. In these cases, you have to give them a notice of
30 days.
365 days.
Okay. 1 year.
1 year.
Okay.
The rule of the thumb is you have to give them a notice of 1 year and then they have to vacate.
Okay.
However, if you're selling it, you can give them a notice of 1 year.
Okay.
However, if you're selling your property, that notice is not transferable to the new buyer.
Correct.
Now,
If it's sold in between.
now that's very important.
Yes.
I wanted to sell. I've given them a notice. 6 months have passed and 6 months are still remaining. I say, okay, I'm going to sell this property to you. You come in and you say, now I've taken possession. My 6 months have passed and 6 months are still remaining. No. The time the title deed is transferred in your name,
The notice
all
is
the
null and void.
contacts, all the contracts that were issued by me as the previous owner become null and void.
Correct.
So if you want to evict that tenant, you have to give a personal
your
notice, again a legal notice from your end to the tenant 365 days in advance.
Okay.
If you give a false notice to a tenant, the tenant has gone. The tenant comes to know that you are not using it because you cannot again lease that property for a period of
2 years.
2 years. So now the tenant finds out that you evicted that tenant because you wanted to lease it out again at a higher rate.
Correct.
They can lodge a complaint against you. If that complaint is noted in the rental dispute center and the rental dispute center comes to know that yes, the tenant is right, you as a landlord are liable to give that tenant 1 year rent plus all the charges that he had to incur because of the shifting. So those two things are there.
Okay.
A lot of people are not aware of these things. So I would suggest if you have a tenant that you want to evict, may I suggest that that person should consult again a seasoned property manager or a seasoned property consultant so that they can be guided accordingly.
Correct. So have you had any such instances that the notice was given and they did not leave?
Notice was given. Whenever a notice is given, if you want to challenge that notice, a lot of people do, but most of the things are settled amicably. I believe in settling the things amicably. Reach out to people, see what what the problem is and how you can play your part in resolving the problem. But know exactly what is required. Is it a 30-day notice or a 365 days notice?
Okay.
Because plans are made accordingly. Your financial plans are made accordingly.
Correct.
So if it's a 30-day notice and then you later find out, no, it is a 365 days notice, a lot of things go haywire.
Yes.
And
I agree.
your plans go for out to the park.
Yeah.
So you need to be cognizant. You need to be very, very sure. If I need to move into that property, what constitute? If I'm not moving and my first degree relatives are moving, my next of kin is moving, who is actually my next of kin? How do I establish that?
Okay.
So reach out to a seasoned property consultant. You should have an idea about these things. Everybody should have an idea. But then if you do not remember the nitty-gritty details, reach out to a professional.
Got it. Thank you for
Have
all
you
that.
had any such incidences?
Yes. There have been instance that, multiple. Recently there was one that the landlord, because most of the tenants are not aware of this rule and regulation, and the owner told the tenant that we're selling the entire building and you need to leave immediately. However, the tenant had renewed the contract recently and they reached out to me asking what should we do. So that's when I informed them that they have to be given a court notice. The landlord actually sent them an email which wouldn't be valid.
Notarized. It has to be notarized. It has to be sent through the Dubai court.
Yes, that was not done. So I informed them that they were supposed to have a court notice, and then
An
after
email
1
is
year,
just a heads up.
Exactly. That's not considered. By
An
the
email is a heads up that, listen, I'm giving you at the time of renewal that this is the last year it's going to be renewed, and from next year this is going to be the thing. So if you have plans, if you say, okay, I as a tenant now have more than 365 days notice. So if I find something which is suitable right now, I can always reach out to the landlord and say, listen, I have something which is suitable right now. May I move now? Let's sit down over a cup of coffee, discuss those things, discuss life plans, and then come to an amicably feasible solution which is appreciated and which is approved by all parties.
yeah.
Right? So don't try to, I would say don't try to be over smart with people in Dubai, because the laws, the regulations are very straightforward. Everybody is educated. Everybody has access to those laws and regulations. I just took the name. You can go on Google. You can search for these laws. Law 33
You
of
can always
2008.
call even the
You can
rental
always-
dispute. They're
They're very helpful.
Yes.
They are extremely helpful. They would listen to you. They will guide you.
Yes.
They will explain you. And they say, okay, if still you have a confusion, you can come and visit us and we'll guide you.
Correct.
So everything is very crystal clear. However, because of our understanding or hearing it from one source, which itself does not have the full understanding, it can be misinterpreted.
Correct. So yes, I think that's about it. Thank you for all the insightful information. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode.